Here we go. We're back.
We're back.
The three boys are back.
What's good?
Left and right after our teaser episode, they said, "You guys aren't going to do the full episode. You're not going to do the 1924 episode."
Man, they was
And I
hating.
said, Watch me.
They was hating.
Watch me come back and do the full episode of 1924. Reeling in the years. We got Ibrahima. We got Brandon. We got Eric, your host.
What's up, man?
Coming at you with the details this time. Now, looking back on our initial teaser that we did, we didn't really dive into the weeds and really get to the point of what I think we wanted this podcast to be. If you don't remember, each episode of this is episode 1, full episode is what we're doing right now. We're going to go through year by year, because you know these history podcasts, these history programs per se, always speak in eras. They speak in, you know, the Prohibition era, the Coolidge administration, this specific event. We thought, let's just hone in on a single year per episode and just find as many important events, happenings, movements, all of that sort of development, just honed in on one single year in history. And we're starting off with the year 1924, which we alluded to in our
100
teaser
years ago.
episode. Exactly.
Nobody
100
was
years ago
born.
from right now, April 1st, 2024.
Nobody was alive.
Nobody was alive. The world was in black and white still. We didn't have color yet. But we're reeling it back exactly a century ago
Yeah.
and seeing what life was like.
It's crazy. The Ottoman Empire was around at that time.
Oh, you want to start with that? Let's go.
I mean, like,
Ottoman Empire, go.
Yeah.
hey, I'm just following what we was talking about.
Yeah.
Nah, though. But it's just crazy, like, to think about things like that, though. Like, this world was, like, completely different. Like, I don't know.
Well, how did it start? Like, what happened?
Ottoman Empire? You want to put me on blast?
Yeah.
I mean,
Fill me in. I know nothing about the Ottoman.
yeah. I mean, like I said, the Ottoman Empire, I don't know, it started, like, around, like, 14th century or something like that. Like, they took over the Byzantines, right?
Right.
So the Byzantine Empire is technically just the eastern half of the Roman Empire. That's all it is. And they took it over. They took over Constantinople, and then that's pretty much when it started. And then from that point, it's crazy. A lot of people don't know that, like I said, the sultans of the Ottoman Empire, they're supposed to be like the descendants of Muhammad, which I didn't know that neither. But like, they
That makes sense.
yeah, but like, they called themselves Roman emperors. And they took the title Caesar, which is weird to think, but like I said, but when you think about it, they had the same territory that's like the eastern half of the Roman Empire and everything. And then they expanded their territories and reclaimed almost the same territories as Rome did at one point. So it's like kind of crazy, but yeah.
How many years relative? Do you know how long the Byzantine Empire ruled for,
Yeah.
roughly?
Like, ever since the Roman Empire. Like, that's the crazy thing about it. Like, there's a distinction. Like I was telling Ibrahim, like, it's crazy, like, they got, like, I don't know, like, the main historians will tell you that, like, the Roman Empire fell in 400 AD. But before Rome fell, it split into two empires, the East and the West. And we all know about Constantine. He's the one that started Christianity in Rome and stuff, and started Constantinople. And when he was alive, like 200 years before the empire fell, he moved the capital from Rome to Constantinople, which is modern-day Istanbul. Yeah, Turkey. So, like, ever since then, that's where all the administration was happening for the empire, and everything was in Constantinople. But they tell you that 400 AD is the end of the Roman Empire because that's when the western half fell, and no parts of Europe or Italy were part of Constantinople. But the Roman administration was still running, and they still had Roman emperors all the way up until 1500, all the way up until Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Empire.
So you're talking
So they-
about from 400 AD to 1500.
Whenever the Roman Empire started, which was like around Caesar, you know, that's like around Julius Caesar and like Augustus reigned in like, 0 AD, around the time when Jesus was alive.
Yeah.
So like, so ever since from that point all the way up until 1500s, like, it's crazy.
So modern day Istanbul was like European Christianity HQ
Yes.
for a while.
Yeah, like the headquarters.
Okay.
And then it's crazy too because they have the Sophia something, like one of the biggest mosques. There was like a huge church in Constantinople, and it was like this big one, Constantine made and stuff. And when Istanbul was taken over by the Muslims, they converted to a big mosque, and it's still like one of the beautiful mosques like in the world. Like, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So what led to the fall of the Ottoman Empire then?
I mean, a whole lot of
Knowing
things.
this.
Like, I don't know. Like I said, it lasted for so many thousands of years and stuff. Like all emperors and empires, like they lose territory slowly, and like like Europe rising, and there was a whole lot of different little things going on,
Right.
for hundreds of years, and they like were like a fraction of their size by the time they fell, in like World War One. They was like just like basically the size of Turkey is today, and like they lost all their other territory.
Because I posed this question during our teaser. I said, is this something that just happens overnight? Or it's a one-day
Right, yeah.
development? How does a whole empire fall, and how long does that take?
Yeah, it definitely takes hundreds of years.
Yeah, I don't think you can just
Yeah.
ship that.
Yeah, no.
It's like over time.
Like I said, there was like one sultan. It happened a while ago, I guess.
Was
I
there
forget.
multiple uprisings that led to this?
Yes, there was
Or a
multiple
single-
like I guess like administration changes and like governmental restructuring and everything like that, like over time. And
Like
it's
they just lose influence in
Yeah.
some regions and it just shrinks.
exactly, you know what I mean? And especially like I said, like Europe was starting to form and like they weren't there at one point. And then like I said, now you have all these European countries and European imperialism started to like infringe on their territories and stuff and their authority. But then like I don't know, like over time, like I said, there was like they also had a parliament, and the Sultan like was no longer like the full ruler of the empire no more, and he had to share power.
For those who may not be familiar, what is a sultan?
The Sultan is just a king.
Okay.
It's just the title that they have. I mean, that's what I call him, but like it's basically like in like Islam, I guess he's basically like the king, but he's also a religious figure. So he's like both, because like they don't have no separation between church and state really. So like he is like the ruler and religious ruler.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's basically king.
So it very much fell apart in piecemeal rather
Yeah.
than like one full-blown invasion
Yeah.
or kind of one clean sweep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that kind of bring us to where we are today, you think?
I mean, World War I had a whole lot to do about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know too much about World War I. I know that much.
I don't think much even happened.
I don't think it was just a minor event, really.
I thought World War I was about France and Germany fighting over the Nazis, or was that
That's
the
World War
second
II.
one? Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know anything about World War One. I know a lot about, Nazis, and that's like Germany, crazy,
Yeah.
but I don't know nothing about World War I. I know about Austria. Like I said, there was some assassination attempt or something that started it. That's pretty much all I
I
know.
believe it's Mussolini. I'm like almost certain on that.
It might be
That's like
Mussolini.
if my high school history education gave me one thing, it's that small token of information.
It was Mussolini.
But undoubtedly, the sequel is so much better than the OG Great War.
Oh,
If you say so.
yeah. I mean, I think so too. It was definitely a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's a lot more dramatic.
A lot bigger, a lot more deaths, like more
countries
technology.
involved, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they had like a lot more ways to kill.
Hopefully, we'll cover a World War II year.
Man,
Future,
maybe.
I'm sure a lot was happening year by year
Yeah, definitely.
in the 1940s, early 1940s.
A whole lot of, like I said, fascism. Fascism was huge. Mussolini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got what's his name? What's the Russian guy?
Who?
Russian guy.
Lenin. You want to talk about that?
I mean, yeah.
That was something when I was going through what seemed to be like the most important to me, or what seemed like the biggest world event, was the death of Vladimir Lenin in 1924, who was pretty much the sole responsibility for overthrowing the former Russian Tsar in early on, Nicholas II, I believe in like roughly 1917. So sort of in those like last moments of World War I, there was a socialist movement of the Soviet Union to overthrow the former Tsar, Nicholas II. It was like following all that turmoil and things that were going on at the time, and it's kind of like was almost like passing off the torch to Stalin to sort of allow Stalin to have his long-time reign and long-time lasting influence on Russia, and eventually like the dominance of the Soviet Union. But Vladimir Lenin died early on in night. He just squeezed in 1924. I think in like the first 15 days he had died. He had like a series of strokes and very lousy health. And pretty much like Lenin's writings and theories about socialism kind of lingered and influenced leadership throughout Russia for many decades to come.
Even currently.
Yeah, even currently in like in modern socialist theory, like Vladimir Lenin's one of like the founding fathers of socialism and socialist theory. And before his death, he wrote a document known as the Testament, in which he expressed concerns about like growing power of Stalin and suggested that Stalin be removed from his position at the time as general secretary of the Communist Party. So it was sort of like he had like a cabinet level position beforehand, which kind of gave him that foothold of rise and just take over fully as like the head honcho of the Communist Party. And there's just a lot that happens following Lenin's death, which like led to a lot of turmoil across Russia. It was pretty much like Leon Trotsky, who may sound familiar to you if you've studied like World War I history. He was the Bolshevik general secretary and commander of the Red Army. And it was pretty much Trotsky and Stalin pretty much duking it out for the lead position of the Communist Party, or the lead general after that fact. And it was sort of like, it created a huge rift and a huge divide across Russia and led to like numerous uprisings, revolutions, and things of that sort. But in the end, Stalin kind of came out and created the full totalitarian state that we saw Russia in throughout the rest of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and so on. And kind of the rise to Stalin's power and dominance of the Soviet Union. So like beforehand, Lenin had sort of imagined Bolshevik and Soviet rule almost in a more democratic unity, and then pretty much invited Stalin to come in full. Did someone just like walk in the room right there? No. Okay, I'm hearing things. I'm sorry. But that pretty much invited just single party totalitarian regime over Russia.
How much do you think like modern Russian, like, I don't know, government thinks about this stuff or like looks towards this stuff? I don't know. I know that I've seen like Putin, like he has like statues of Stalin and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. Like, did you guys know like Russia was a
very
democracy?
deeply ingrained in their culture.
Did you guys know Russia was a democracy before Putin? Like, I did not know this. Like recently.
Probably not right now.
I mean, like technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the same thing with the regime before Lenin came in. Was like they had considered it a democracy, and there was technically a democratic process to everything. But like there was heavily like overworked citizens. There was like basically no middle class.
Yeah.
Conditions were very not great, and everything that the leadership did at the time pretty much worked to the benefit of the wealthy and those in like positions of power. So even though you could label it as like a democratic process, I don't think citizens of that time really had much say at all in how things operated or how conditions were at the time. Ibrahima, what was the most interesting thing you found?
Well, I tried to find like happy things to talk about and not people dying. But
Empires falling.
Yeah, no, I was just randomly searching, and I found that Alice of the Wonderland was first to release in 1924.
You serious?
Yeah, I never watched it. Though. I have no idea.
What?
It would've been the book.
You've never watched Alice in Wonderland? I'm like, go cap.
It's a legendary story.
It's pretty turn.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like, it kind of creeped me out a little bit, the little cat and all, you know what I'm saying? But I used to really fuck with it, though.
Good.
I think there's just some really fucked up
Just set it
movies
up.
made about it, you know? When it's a novelization of it, then it's like, if it really creeps you out, that's just the way you're imagining it.
Well, like,
It's the book.
that is true. But, like, yeah, I feel like it has to do with the way they depict it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because, like, they imagined it, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, to think, like, how relevant that still remains in our culture today.
Wait, so what's the story about, actually? 'Cause-
Alice in Wonderland, honestly, like, I kind of forget. I know that, like, she, like,
Falls
falls,
like, into a clock.
yeah, into, like, like another world.
Okay.
There's, like, a lot of conspiracies about it being, like, you know, like,
A lot of parallels to
yeah,
like Wizard of Oz,
yeah.
I would say.
yeah, it is.
That's
Where-
interesting.
They're definitely.
It could be
And there's like this
interpreted-
cat, this weird cat. It could be interpreted whatever. It could be. It's like this
The
weird
Mad
cat.
Hatter is like the
He's like the main guy.
character.
That's my nigga.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So is that like a general story, or is that from Disney?
I think Disney, like with a lot of Disney stories, they just grab like kind of old folk tales that are sort of public domain
Yeah.
and adapt it into their own
Right.
IP. So I think initially it was outside of Disney entirely
Yeah.
when they developed Alice in
Type, so I didn't even.
I'm gonna look up the author of it. So it's like a very
I didn't know
famous
that.
author.
Is it the Grimm brothers?
Might be, but like, it's nice though. Like
Lewis
I said,
Carroll.
She just like,
Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll.
I think she falls, doesn't she? I wonder like how she falls into a clock though. Like I forget like what.
Should read and watch it.
She falls down a rabbit hole. She doesn't fall into a clock. It's
A rabbit hole?
A rabbit
That's
hole.
more
Yeah.
That's scarier.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird. And like she falls into this rabbit hole and she's like falling to like a whole another dimension.
That's interesting.
It's like Alice in Wonderland basically. You know what I'm saying? Like because what happens to her? She's like from Kansas. Not
That's
Alice.
Wizard of
Not
Oz.
not yeah. I mean Wizard of Oz. I say
I
Alice
think
in
she's
Wonderland.
English in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like what happens in like I said Wizard of Oz? She's like falls from Kansas. She's from Kansas and what happens? To
I
her?
never watched that movie.
A big tornado comes in,
Yeah.
sweeps her and her dog.
Okay.
I'm much more familiar with Wizard of Oz than I am.
I don't know. Like I
She
forget
lands in
how
Oz,
she gets.
she's got to find the
to
Wicked
Oz.
Witch of the West to get herself home,
Okay.
and a Tin Man, and a Lion Man, and a Scared Man
Give you the
all
whole-
join her on this journey
The whole bio.
to the Wicked Witch.
Wait,
Yeah.
so why is
It's
Wizard of
live.
Oz so important?
Because I was literally just gonna say that too. It was like the first.
Color?
Color,
yeah,
yeah.
you know that.
That's
The
it?
world was in color
Yeah.
after that movie came
Exactly. It was like the first colored movie, and like the way they do it in the show, like I said, it's so live. Like she wakes up in a new way. It starts off in black and
Yeah.
white, and then like I said, so everybody's
wakes
used
up,
to seeing
everything's
black
in
and
color.
white, and then like she wakes up, everything's in color. Like
Oh,
that.
so
like
that must be crazy.
that might have been. That's
in.
must have
Imagine
been
seeing color
crazy.
video for the first time.
And they did it
like
in that
seeing the
way,
first
like
ever.
into a movie, like that'd be crazy.
Oh yeah, that would be crazy.
If I was
Like, it
in
probably
the
blew their
movie
minds.
theater in the 19
Whatever that came, literally.
yeah, whatever came out, I'd be shitting my pants. Bro.
I
I'd be
would.
like, that's like
I'd be like-
ever. I'm looking into a window
Man,
into another world right now.
literally.
Like first ever person to see color video.
It probably was
Mind-blowing.
dumb expensive to get those tickets back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
For like $5 too. It probably was like
Yeah.
$5 and it was like super
That was like
expensive.
$500.
Yeah.
That was like U2 concert
Oh, bro.
VIP tickets back then.
Brother.
What else do we want to talk about?
Talking about the
do you
Model
know,
T,
do you know the country is Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just found out that their first black president was born in 1924.
Oh, really?
Okay,
And I'm
well,
like,
that doesn't even make sense. But
Where
I mean,
were
it
black
make
people?
that's what I'm saying. That doesn't make sense, but it makes sense because, you know,
What race of person was leading Zimbabwe? Up
probably
probably the white.
yeah, probably
Really?
whoever
until,
colonialism.
French or
Yeah.
British?
yeah,
Like
something like
British or
that.
like
Okay.
the
That's like the colonial era.
German,
Mhm.
like the what do you call them, from Netherlands? I
Yeah,
think
the
those
Netherlands.
were the people that were in
Is,
Zimbabwe.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably. That sounds like it could be.
But yeah,
But it's crazy though.
he was president for like 30 years.
Yeah, it's crazy because like almost all those African countries are like just now getting their independence, like in like the 40s and everything.
Yeah.
Like-
I'm from Senegal, and
Yeah.
we got our independence in 1960.
Exactly. But that is just so
That's
crazy.
like when my dad was born.
Yeah, my
Yes.
dad was born 3 years before that.
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
My dad was like born in the 40s. My dad was old.
See, that's
But, like,
crazy. That's so
yeah.
recent.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's like that Napoleon stuff. It might be like, you know, folklore. It like gets adapted over like time and stuff.
Yeah, well, I read afterwards because, like, anytime there's a history movie, there's just articles about people pretty much assess these movies on history, whether or not
They
they're
really
good or
have
not based on how accurate it is.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been super cool. Just looking at the pyramids and seeing that den, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
just some crazy
Like the thing,
general, like, just shot a cannon
Yeah.
at it because he was pissed.
the thing about it
That's
is like
something.
he may actually have like shot a cannon at it. You know what I'm saying? But like the fact that he did it because he was off cocaine, like that sounds like that might have been like added to the story, like maybe a little later. But like I don't know, he could have.
Yeah, we'll never know.
That's crazy.
We didn't have iPhones yet, so
Yeah.
we couldn't record it.
But it's crazy, like I said, because some people say that like you can rebuild the pyramids, because like we definitely do not have the tech. Like I don't know, like
Isn't that crazy though that we don't have the tech today to rebuild the pyramids?
That's what I'm saying. Like
What did we lose between then and now?
Like
that's what I'm saying. Like I also want to go back and see what they have for real. Cause like they not only they had to transport, like they cut all these blocks out these mountains and transport them, like say up the Nile, like hundreds of miles.
it's crazy every time I
And
think
then
about
put
it.
them up. Every time I think about it, it's crazy. And like I said, they say we can't recreate them because like they use a technique that use no adhesive. They just put a brick between a brick, and then it put no mortar or no adhesive between it.
It's just the weight of the
It's just
rock
the weight
itself.
and the way that they place these bricks. So we can't do that. Like I said, it's a type of masonry that like people still, or I don't know what it's called, a building that people still do. And like modern ones that do it are like really good. They can only make a building go like so high. They could never do it on the scale that they did it. Like, so it's just crazy. Like it's
impressive.
It's
Also,
pretty impressive.
If you didn't know, Egypt does not have the most pyramids.
I know. I was
Isn't that
thinking
crazy?
about that too. You know that
It's like Machu Picchu.
no, it's Nubia right under it, which is modern day Sudan, which is right on the Nile. Like I said, not only like you gotta look up East Africa, like they've been connected.
It's crazy.
And they did
since
all this
before
all this
there was ever
innovation, all
countries.
this effort just to have a place to bury their kings.
I don't believe so.
That's what they say.
That's it. That's what we're
The ones in Nubia are a lot smaller,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more of them. So like I think they are probably like tombs because they kind of look like tombs, especially like the way they're set up because it looks like big cemeteries. But like, I don't know. The ones for Egypt, I don't know.
They're super big.
They might have been used for something different. I don't know. But yeah, I guess we got kind of sidetracked from like the 100 years. But
That's okay.
you know, that's
That's
good.
what it's all about.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
what it's all
it's
about.
just-
Yeah.
You know, you get into the weeds.
Fluid conversation. Should we pick a new
Talk
year?
about some interesting facts. I think we
Yeah,
should.
pick a new year. So I have a random number generator here between the numbers 20 and 500. And so I'm going to generate a random number between there, and that's how many years subtracted from 2024
Okay.
we'll research.
Cool.
Cool.
We want to
Yeah.
count it down.
Yeah. 1,
2,
3.
3,
Generate
243.
243 years ago.
1781.
1781.
1781.
I think that's like before the. Like I said, what?
That's slavery's time still?
Oh yes,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
100%.
You heard it here first on Reeling in the Years. The next year is 1781. If you want to stay caught up and you want to hear us talk about your favorite thing that happened in 1781, do some research, hop on board, follow along with us. And that's it. 1924 in the books.
Bam.
I think I learned so much today.
Especially about.
Oh my God.
Hope you learned about Ottoman Empire. Say that.
So stick it with us. Reeling in the Years. Next episode, 1781. Stay tuned, people.